In the retail space, I mean, as we all know in this room, it's really hard to be profitable. I mean, when your margins are 20%, you have to have a 5 ROAS of actual value to even break even on it, and that's a pretty high hurdle.
So when you say when you say ROI,
yeah.
I think now you mean incremental.
Incremental,
ROI.
yeah.
It sounds like that's not what ROI meant when you joined Overstock.
Not at all. I mean, initially it was just these. I think they're just bullshit metrics, to be honest, that all these companies use on ROI, where they just say like how many people saw this ad and how much money came back. But the thing that I think everyone has to understand is how much of that is actually adding unique value. So that means, you take out the bullshit, which is the people who are going to convert anyways, and you just find how many people were affected by that ad and did it change their behavior.
Prior to jumping into this, can you just characterize, like as you see it, the numbers that come out of Google, like their ROI number?
Oh yeah.
What does that mean? What is the way to interpret that number?
To me, it means nothing. It's just until you can tie it to an actual incremental value, I think it's just a number. I'll give you a number 6. There's a number. Until you can actually tie that to something that's in reality, you can't do much. When I talk about ROI, I'm referring to actual incremental ROI. So every marketing platform, every place that you bid, will give you some ROI metrics. So let's use Criteo retargeting, for example. They state that they have about 14 or 15 ROI on post-impression 30-day. It's actually higher than that. It's absurdly high, what they say. But when you actually do an A/B test with Criteo, and I encourage you to do this, just turn off Criteo to half your customers and run it with the other half. What we found is the actual incremental ROI, the unique orders that showing that retargeting ad had was closer to 4. So we went from the high teens to a 4 ROI when you actually look at incremental value. And I think that is going to become the future of marketing. It's really easy to measure something in a vacuum in a 30-day window or whatever window you want to use, and get these fantastic looking ROI numbers. But if you're actually talking about incremental ROI, it's a very, very different story. So with like open web display ads, so we had partners like Criteo, and of course we're on GDN and yada yada yada. So there, we actually did a user segmentation test where we took our user seeds for every person that comes to our site. They get a randomly generated number, and we ran our own holdout test. So we actually used Nanigans as one of the platforms. We had Criteo running, and then we did an in-house bidding. So it was a 4-way test, and then one of the groups was just dark, like you don't see anything. So, we constructed the test to show the incremental value. And like I said earlier, Criteo looks great on a last click, and their numbers looked fantastic. For us, and this isn't going to be true for everyone, for us, we were overspending by about, I think, 90% overspend. Nanigans actually performed the best out of the group. Our in-house did great on targeting incremental value. The whole basis of it is like a machine learning algorithm that's supposed to target like who's the person that needs to see this ad in order to make a purchase. And it did great. The problem was the volume was around $100 a day. So, I could pull the data myself and just pick the customers to show an ad to and spend $100 a day and show incremental value. And the reason we wanted to test Nanigans is they're the only company we talked to that actually has this mindset. Most of the display people, they make money when you spend money, so they want you to spend as much as you can. They actually said, no, we want incremental value. We only want to serve an ad to someone that is going to provide some value to you, that's going to add, a customer that wouldn't have made the purchase unless they saw the ad. And they performed the best, but even in that world, with Nanigans, the thing we learned is we have to lower our display spend. We could lower our spend by about 80% and still get the same amount of value out of it. So that was a cost saving.
If you sort of fast forward this thing, I don't know what the right timeline is, 3 years, 5 years? What you just described to me seems really important, but also like really hard to do. You got an org that's like really committed to running a whole bunch of tests and like really obsessing about data accuracy. Is this going to become easier to do, or is this going to become harder to do?
I think it's going to be easier to do. I mean, find partners. Like, ask any one of the vendors you use, ask them about incrementality. Like, ask them. If they don't know what you're talking about, they're probably not worth playing with. Simple as that.